Hello and welcome to the Utropeia podcast. I am your host, Ken, also your bro, however, not broken. This week we are talking about Cyberpunk. Boo, 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 boo. And this week we have a special guest in the house, my good friend, Nate, aka Ratjar! Ratjar!
Hi, guys.
Everyone say hi, Nate.
Hi.
Hi, Nate.
Hi, Nate. Nate is my good friend. Nate also works as a video game tester for Volition. Is this okay? Do you want me to cut this out?
Yep, you can talk about it all you want, man. The game has been announced. I am a tester on Saints Row Get Out of Hell. We are testing it right the hell now. We are in the middle of overtime. And, yeah. I'm a real life video game man.
Yes.
Do not talk to me.
Nate has introduced me to a lot of really fun board games and a lot of really fun games over the past few years. He has practically affected most of my sense of humor since we went to high school together.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Just everyone, all of you, a blanket statement.
I'm not. But yeah, no, it's good to have him on the show, and welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem at all. And my other special guests and co-hosts, we're all kind of co-hosts and all guests at the same time. I don't know. I don't believe in labels, man. But to my right, the lovely Anna Cranberry.
Hey.
Hi.
I'm that one person. Hi. Hi, guys.
I put vodkas in this cranberry.
Hi. I don't know what we're talking about.
Cybers and punks.
Okay.
Okay.
I can't. It hurts to do that, so.
Well, it
Hello,
hurts my
everyone.
soul.
Goodbye. Move on. Next.
Okay. And from the moon, Chris Moonjump!
Moonjump! We have no need for the cyberpunk on the moon, because all dissidents are executed.
This is true.
Man, the moon's a bunch of hipsters.
It's dark up there.
Yeah, it's true. We have at least one side. It's always dark.
And behind the keyboard, making sure everything is going well in the shadows, it's Bill, MrYu Video.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How is it going?
I'm hacking from Germany.
I don't know why I did that. I apologize to everyone.
I'm
All
very
of our
small. I
German
am down by this
listeners.
keyboard.
I jumping on the keys. Now I
Yes.
just went Swedish or just
Swedish.
Swedish.
Norwegian, Finnish. This podcast intro with Todd Ogredose.
Oh.
Y'all ready to get punked?
No, please don't.
I'm calling in Ashton Kutcher right now.
No, not hashtag
Have you ever seen that
Kutcher.
one where Zach Braff almost beats the shit out of a kid?
What?
Yes.
No.
King his card? Yeah, it's kind of amazing.
All right. Braff
with
to the
that.
lab again.
Well, I guess I gotta cut this part out now.
Just like that kid almost got cut by Zach Braff.
Oh!
This is our new segue. Just like the
Well,
owner of
the
the
old
segue.
one. Yeah.
The old one went
fell
off a cliff already.
Well, no,
Yeah.
see, the new one is the old one. We just went down the cliff, picked it, and dragged it back up, refurbished it. So
like-
it's really not different at all.
Just like Zach Braff and a child that almost got murdered. So this is the Utropeia podcast. We talk about tropes, but typically we have a little bit of ketchup, and then I say some kind of condiment joke after that. So let's talk about...
I must have heard it before.
You must... Damn it. I think we hit on the same ones, but I'm not mad at it. I just want to
I'm
see
pretty
how
sure it's
this...
the same joke every week.
I know. I just want to see how this Tabasco goes. No? You don't like that one? All
I
right.
am so mad at this moment.
I can't deal with this shit!
God fucking damn it!
Just leave it where it chipotles.
That's not a condiment.
Yes, it is. If
Not
it's
a condiment.
it's a type of hot sauce.
No!
Yes, it is.
I'd say no. I say nay.
Thank you. I also vote nay.
Right?
You're stretching too far.
Oh, man.
Besides, it's pronounced chipotle.
Oh,
Yeah.
fair
Or
enough.
chipotle.
You know what?
Chipotle.
It's canon. It's Chipotle now.
That Nate would know because he sounded like a horseradish there.
There you go.
Ugh.
Light tap. Just like this delicious tap pumpkin beer that I'm drinking. Like I said last week, and maybe the week before, and I don't know, maybe next week too, I'm excited for pumpkin beers. They're delicious. This Friday, no, actually today, the Maze Runner comes out.
Tomorrow?
Tonight. When we're recording, which is on Redacted, is the night where the Maze Runner comes out. It should look pretty fun as I'm watching it. It should look good on the movie screen because they need to be good at projecting
What
it.
a save, ladies and gentlemen. What a save.
Bravo, Mr. Pumpkin.
Standing ovation. This man is a genius.
Sure is good to look at this movie film.
These
It's not the
moving
best in the league
pictures.
for nothing, folks.
A standing ovation at the end of Maze Runner because it is a motion picture film.
They moved.
Wow, they projected the hell out of that movie onto that screen. I don't know what was happening.
You personally
The
write
pictures
the,
was
the
moving.
theater attendant who rolled the film.
Right to them like I'm a freaking moon Amish. Yeah, not just Amish, but moon Amish. Just like I've never seen such
Are
visuals
Moon Amish allowed
and
to
images.
watch movies?
You know, they're not. They believe it steals their souls.
It's true.
Photos fine, though.
It is true.
It's just motion pictures.
Oh yeah, no. Photos are just light
Not
bouncing.
Hey,
Save
we
them.
have photos on the moon. Everyone's used to that now. We're cool.
Can I get some? Can I get some Moon Amish butter on my popcorn?
We can give you some moon apple butter. It's delicious.
I can, but it
that'd be
takes a long
amazing.
time for those carts to make it back to Earth.
Just shuttles being jettisoned down to Earth of moon butter.
Pulled by moon horses.
Oh no, I like to have them, make sure that they stay with it so it gets shipped.
The horses are not pulling the space buggies; they're just jettisoned into space.
Yeah.
Anna, what are you excited about?
I'm excited about moon butter.
All right.
I think one just crashed into the lake outside.
You know what? We gotta go rate it for some
There's a
delicious
line
moon butter.
outside waiting for it to open.
Damn it.
It's like a Saiyan space pod.
Moon Amish have interesting marketing techniques.
Craters in the earth.
I would say our butter is out of this world.
Oh.
What could be greater than golf with a gator? Hey, Chris Moonjump, what are you excited for this week? Besides
Okay.
crater golf.
Well, this week actually on Tuesday, Theater Rhythm Final Fantasy came out, the second one, which is Curtain Call.
Mm.
So I've been playing that all week, and it's been super fun because it is a rhythm Final Fantasy music game, and that combines two of my favorite things.
Rhythm and music?
Yeah.
You might like
Feel the rhythm.
R&B as well, Chris Moonjump.
Mm-hmm.
Rhythm and beat.
Yes.
But the,
Video games and button pressing.
but then
Ooh, it's a compelling combination.
one of the things I wanted to mention, I'm not sure if you heard about this. Apparently, the Maze Runner in like 4 or 5 different theaters is actually setting up a 180-degree viewing screen, and apparently
What?
they filmed a bunch of extra footage for it that you can when you sit in these movie theaters. Apparently, they got like all the peripheral vision stuff for the filming, and there's a bunch of other effects with it.
Interesting.
That's awesome.
I wonder if they'll like show it in an IMAX. Something like that, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
'Cause that's like a bigger
But it
dome.
sounds too fancy for mortal Earth
For just regular
theaters.
jack off like theaters.
Yes.
Pretty
Two
much.
dimensions.
You don't want to go to those theaters.
No. The floors are really sticky. Bill and MrYu video, what are you excited for this week? So we pass by.
All Wakfu stuff again, mostly.
Yes.
So I got my Kickstarter email today, and it's on Netflix. I don't know if I talked about that at all, but they didn't have the French audio, and I guess Netflix requested Ankama to let them put the French audio up.
Yep.
So that's exciting.
So they are going to do it?
Yeah, they are going to
Oh,
do
cool.
it. They said they just have to, like, they don't know when. It's up to Netflix when they put it up.
Mhm.
I got my promos for Crossmaster in the mail today. So now I have 3 more special figures.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yes. It's very good.
But and also I'm very excited for next month for the Horror 488 since they announced the categories.
Yes. You should also be excited for the whole month of October for what the Utropeia podcast is going to be putting out. because it's gonna be different and it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be super fun. You guys don't even know. I know because I host the show, but you guys don't know.
You're right, I don't know.
Hey, he's right. I am excited.
I need to change what I'm excited about for this week. Nate, aka Ratjar. Ratjar. What are you excited for, or bummed out about? If you want?
No, I'm a happy man. I like to talk about happy things all of the
Okay.
time. I'm also a video game, and I like to talk about video games.
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about one.
Do it.
I've been watching videos for the upcoming Sid Meier Beyond Earth game, and I've been getting pretty excited about that. Mostly because, as much as I enjoy Civilization 5, I feel like there's a couple of issues with stuff in the game, and I like that the changes they're making for Beyond Earth allow the player to make a lot more sort of organic and unique choices about how they're going to be playing the game, because their tech tree is non-linear, and they've done a better job of making sure some of the subsystems in the game are more interesting and have a wider variety of options. It's not going to be coming out till like the end of October, but I'm excited. I want to play that game. It's space. You get to colonize stuff in space and then kill aliens in space and then also other humans, and what could be better than that, man?
Other than golf with a crater?
Other than golf, yes. Crater golf. Give it away.
Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Crater golf. He'll throw it right back.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, wow, you're just going in a completely new direction I was not ready for, but yeah, all right. He'll
It's
come
the
back.
Bestie Boys.
Let him go. He'll come
Is
back.
it the Bestie Boys? I don't know who sings it. Is it the Red Hot?
No.
Red Hot.
The Red Hot Chili
Thank you.
Peppers.
I found
Yeah.
they were more mild, actually. I didn't think their spice was up to my standards and practices.
Well, clearly you didn't eat enough of them.
You're right. I didn't have horrible stomach pains the next day.
All I got was fleas.
Todd Ogredose.
I'm sorry.
What are you this week?
I'm Todd this week,
Yeah.
as I was last week. Like Bill, I am very excited for our Horror 48 that'll be coming up in October. We're getting the band back together, and we're gonna have a hoot nanny of a good time doing it.
Dude.
Also, because of good friend MrYu video,
Yes.
a bunch of us got ourselves a demo for Super Smash Bros.
Yay!
on the 3DS.
I forgot to say that. Special thanks. Boo, 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 boo. I am Blue Link, and I enjoyed being him
I am Blue
and
Link.
continuing to be him.
I am Blue Link.
I will post a picture proving how much of a Blue Link I actually am when this video comes out.
No, we all know. We all know, Ken. We all know exactly how blue and how
In
link
fact, I will never click that link, so it will stay blue for the rest of the time.
that is actually pretty Blue Link.
Yeah, but yeah, a bunch of us have gotten to play it now all together and stuff, and I got to play as Mega Man, so I can freak out a little less than I was last week when I was kind of on the edge of my seat about it. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to getting the whole game in less than a month now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, lemons.
yay!
Yeah, lemons. When's the new Pokemon coming out? The Omega Brown and Super
November,
Not brown.
Beginning of November, I think.
Beginning of November.
Beginning to mid. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Beginning mid. No grumber. Alright, but I'm excited for that, but that's not until, maybe we'll talk about it in October where cool stuff's happening and you guys don't know. Okay. No, we don't. No one does. Except for
don't.
me.
I don't know.
And
One
maybe
knows.
Anna, but she's asleep right now, so we won't talk
I
about
am
it.
not asleep.
Yeah?
November 21st, by the way.
Oh, remember. The legal date of November. Where Pokemon came on the DS.
Pokemon Brown and Pokemon more
And
different
Pokemon
brown.
slightly darker brown.
Eggshell white.
Eggshell white and cream. I'm getting cream. But I can't wait until coffee comes out for the next gen. I'm laughing laughing at my own stupid jokes.
I'm gonna get mocha, and I'm gonna get all the good
I'm gonna
Pokemans.
get caramel or caramel. How do people say it?
I'm gonna get Pokemon Camel when they start naming them after animals.
When they run out of precious gemstones.
Yeah, they're like, there's no colors left. We've used them all.
Pokemon Bison.
I'm getting Pokemon M. Bison.
Pokemon Muskrat.
You know what? I lied. Pokemon Muskrat sounds really rad.
It is. It comes with a real muskrat.
You know what? You sold me.
That's the GameStop exclusive pre-order.
Hey, hire me. Hire me to do that. I got a million
Fight
of
me,
them.
then hire me.
What if we put a muskrat in every single cartridge? Kids would go nuts. Kids love muskrats, right?
I can't
Hey,
deny.
back me up. Muskrat.
Muscarato, said the head of Miyamoto.
Only
Only
his head.
The rest of his body said
Nothing else.
something else that was very inappropriate. But we won't talk about that. But what we will talk about is Cyberpunk. We're doing a. So there's a lot of things that kind of come to mind with Cyberpunk. There's a lot of different settings, a lot of different ideas. We'll get more into the biomechanics versus kind of like controlling machines via other kind of ways, and we'll hopefully start a more open discussion. But when I talk about Cyberpunk, what is it that you guys first think of? And I'm going to involve Anna first because someone is doing some real tilt shifting right now.
Tilt shifting.
Yeah, it's really cool
Super
pictures.
cool
They
stuff.
look like models.
Sometimes you don't know if it's real or fake because it's sci-fi, but it doesn't matter because it's cool.
Yeah. So when I say Cyberpunk, what do you think of?
Anna, ladies and gentlemen.
I think of the
I rest
void.
my case
I
and
think
myself.
Of exist.
I am my case.
I am my case.
You think of that movie?
I was waiting for technology to advance enough to just finish my sentences, but it didn't work.
Okay.
It never does. Sad face.
Yes.
Everything mech ever. It's a well-loved genre.
Yes.
Jays, especially now, there's a big push for futuristic stuff, and I think there's a point it's reached that it's kind of split between where it's like dirty future stuff and then kind of hi-fi.
Yes.
So Cyberpunk can fall in between either of those, whether it's real smooth or whether it's real gritty. But my first thought was Pacific Rim, actually.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Huh.
Because it can be either way. It was actually like partially clean and then also just really gritty and kind of worn down depending.
Robots.
Robots. If you've never seen Pacific Rim, it's about big old robots.
Don't 2-year rule, man. 2-year
There's no
rule.
spoiler.
Yeah, you can't tell them. Don't tell them.
Spoiler
Then
alert,
they'll never
robot.
see it.
Look at
Oh,
the
what,
title
there are
card
cool
of
robots in this
Pacific
movie?
Rim.
Get out of here.
And not know it's about robots.
Maybe there's a monster? Maybe.
Maybe there's a monster and they
I think
fight?
it's a
I don't
naval
know.
ship battle movie.
I always just kind of assumed it was about, a giant football player chilling out at the beach.
You know what? I'd watch that movie.
What happens? Is there a
Utropia
conflict?
seal of approval. It's been a while since we've stamped it on stuff. But here it is. It's back. It's back. With new pumpkin spice lattes.
Well, it is that time.
Yeah, it is that time of year that I love, that other people hate. You know who I'm talking about. Nate. Hi.
Hello.
Talking about
No,
Nate?
Nate loves pumpkin spice. I can't speak for Nate. I'm sorry. That was
I
hateful.
don't. I like pumpkin pie. That's
Yeah.
good to eat.
Doesn't answer the question.
He didn't ask me. He asked me about pumpkins. I'm confused.
Aren't we all?
I
Yes.
think of the old. I think it's '93 game from Bullfrog, the original Syndicate.
Oh, yeah.
The original Syndicate?
Because it was a game wherein you play as the CEO of one of many megacorporations on Earth, and you recruit these super agents, which are essentially just people you abduct off the street, and then you brainwash them and give them robot arms, and then you send them out to murder other people and take things that you want because you're an asshole.
Why didn't they do that for
That kind
Generator
of
Rex?
game.
instead.
But I think of that because it has, the themes of, insane power that goes beyond, like nations and states, and the sort of transhuman aspect of the fact that once your agents are, all cyborged out and toting around like 4 miniguns, the regular like cop on the street with a shotgun is kind of just a speed bump, if that.
Yep.
And all that good stuff. It's done with sort of a British tongue-in-cheek, dark humor style that I think fits the setting really well. Because that sort of classic cyberpunk setting is actually pretty depressing if you try to just be like super serial about it. It's like, ha! Oh, life is worthless, and you're gonna get killed by the cyber shithead because you're in his way.
It's a shame.
Yeah,
It's a real shame.
For you, not for him. For him, it's amazing.
He loves it. He's
It's
so
super
into it.
great. He's laughing about it. Look at him.
Look at him. He loves it.
Dual wielding miniguns and laughing about it.
Try some more.
Yeah.
No. Cool. Chris Moonjump.
All right. My
Cyberpunk.
major example was extremely popular game by the name of Deus Ex.
I've never played it.
Oh, that is terrible. You may need to remedy that,
You know
or
what?
I might be sending you a Steam code here soon.
You know what? I'm gonna have to. This is a joke that's never been brought up, but I'm gonna have to write a letter of apology. I'm sorry, everyone.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, basically, Deus Ex involves effectively you are a cop on what is now kind of the United Nations task force for making sure that for counterterrorism.
Mm-hmm.
But you go through basically like everyone on the force is massively cybernetically augmented.
Yes.
So most of the game revolves around a couple of main things, which is the effects of augmentation, crazy evil conspiracy theories.
Mhm.
Like you basically in the game you're effectively torn between like 3 traditional super conspiracy theories, whether that be governmental alliance, corporate alliance, or effectively popular movement. And yeah, it's the theme and setting and tone of the whole series is basically is very cyberpunk in that kind of very like slightly advanced future, but still relatively near. So you're not like a fully like science is magic type area. But yeah, it's a phenomenal game and everyone should play it.
Although I do have to put forth that it has not aged well in some ways.
No.
Or even at the time, the game was not particularly good looking, and the gameplay was a little bit on the clunky side.
Yes.
And I don't imagine that's gotten any better. Now, the story, the themes, and the characters, and all that stuff is pretty great. But I have to admit, as far as the playing the game part, that might be a little raw, especially when you start out, because you're kind of terrible when you start the game.
Oh yeah.
Basically everything.
Yeah.
The same could be said of all religions.
I'm gonna shoot that guy.
And
it was a funny story about that game. Somebody gave it to me to play, but I never asked for it.
Just swoop in.
I'm sorry.
I'm not. I redact my letter of apology.
Gonna write one up myself here.
Very good.
But the one thing I will say is if you are looking to get into it again, there actually are some very popular mods on Steam that will make it a much prettier experience. But yeah, JC Denton in the beginning of the game is basically like they handed someone who is mentally retarded a handgun and went, "Go get him, Tiger."
Hey, you want a Gep gun? Are you sure you should be giving this to me? No, dude, it's
Oh
cool.
yeah,
Don't worry about it.
heavy ordnance is totally fine. You won't murder yourself and everyone else with it.
Top secret government organization.
Boo, 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 boo. Bwah, bwah, bwah. Just doing like Jamaican rum commercials while they're recruiting people. Woo! But not to be a jerk. Let's ask Bill MrYu video.
God.
What? When I say Cyberpunk, what do you think of?
Actually, the first thing that comes to mind is probably one of my favorite movies ever.
What is it, Bill?
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Like beers in the...
Yeah, right there, buddy.
Yeah, I'm doing good.
No, he just got beers on the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, yeah.
All
I think
right.
that's good. I think we're done here.
Good night, everybody.
No, Blade Runner's awesome. Love that movie.
Very good movie.
I've been advised to watch all 3 versions of it, like the original, isn't there like a
I've
director's
watched
cut?
all 3 of them. Yeah, it's the theatrical, the director's, and the final.
And supposedly there's different outcomes for all 3 versions. Maybe.
Mostly between the theatrical and the director's cut.
Yes.
The theatrical cut, they went for more like a film noir with like the whole Harrison Ford's character narrating it. They changed the ending to be a little bit on more of a happy note, and they kind of solidified like this is how it ends. Whereas the director's cut leaves it a little open and kind of gives you hints to what actually was going on, but doesn't flat out tell you what was going on, and then cut out the narration.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harrison Ford supposedly notoriously hated the idea of narrating and super didn't want to do it, and basically only did it because they put a gun to his head. So he purposely made it just the most heinously awful narration.
You can tell
ever.
He does not want to be in that booth recording.
He does not want to be there.
I think I've only listened to part of it, but I'm pretty sure it was not good.
It's kind of funny about that, though, just thinking how much he hates it while he's recording.
Well, the reason that, I kind of love it, because it just sounds like he's, just some guy telling a story. Like, yeah, this is what happened.
Right.
Killed a couple people. That's it.
It was a thing. Boring Monday.
life.
Ooh, just a Monday. Mondays, am I right?
I'm just more thinking like a film noir story with just the guy just super exasperated, like you've been badgering him to tell you the story. Like, I found the Maltese Falcon, I went in there, and the dame betrayed me. I couldn't believe it.
Dude, what movie is
Shot a
that
guy in the
from?
mouth. I went home. I don't give a shit. It's like, wow, cool story.
The Maltese Falcon. What movie is that from?
I don't know.
I
Was
Very
it, was
mysterious.
it from Billy Zane's? The
You're right.
Phantom?
It was
Yeah.
from Buckaroo Banzai.
I'm sorry.
I think that was from Jackass the movie.
Dude, I love Jet Li's. What was that? Unleashed?
Yeah, you know. Unbreakable,
Unbreakable,
something like
Unleashed,
that.
I don't know.
Jet Li
A
something.
man is
Happy birthday.
being sung happy birthday to and immediately is killed in the restaurant.
And that was
That's the
That's all we
worst
wanted.
birthday ever.
Depending on where you're standing, it could be the best. If you're a lich that makes desserts at the restaurant, it might be pretty awesome.
you'll never know.
Right.
Todd Ogredose, what do you think of when I say
I
the
think-
Cyberpunk?
I think everyone knows what I think of, including the audience at home.
They should.
That's right, kids. I think of Marvel 2099.
That's funny.
It's
Because it's a reference to past episodes.
It is.
Which I have listened to.
Well, hey,
But,
it's at least better than one of our regular cast members.
Yeah. Ken.
How dare you not listen to our episodes?
After you edit them and put them up on the Utropeia podcast.
When you edit
YouTube.
them, do you just not listen? You just pick times and randomly cut
I just
things
kind of
out?
look at wave signs and hope it turns
Oh,
out
that
okay.
part looks bad. I don't want that in there.
That wave sign looks like they're talking about Cowboy Bebop. I mean, I lost our no!
I think that waveform is making fun of me.
Time to silence it.
Forever!
Forever. Yeah, it'll
Equalize!
never come out. Woo! But 2099. Any specific title?
Well, there's a lot of things. It's hard to say what title because they
Are-
all
Are
well,
so
like,
good.
Good.
Yes.
Asterisk.
Perfection even.
Go read them.
But they all have the same kind of feeling when it comes to the world set to them. Every one of them fights some bad guy at some point or another that is half a cyborg and
Well, and all the
Like-
bad guys are connected to Alchemax, which is the giant corporation that runs everything.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's actually one of the cooler parts of the 2099
The world
world
itself is not bad.
Yeah.
It's what's written into it.
Yeah, and it's very much, and we've talked about this in the past, but it is very much like the kind of shiny future, and everything's super technologically advanced. But in other parts, you have like the modified people who live in the slums and stuff like
You
that.
mean
So that's a
the
really
mutants?
yes, I do mean the mutants. The or muteroids,
Mutroids,
something
the
like
Metroids.
that. Mutroids, that was it.
Yeah.
From Ravage, which I'd rather not talk about.
Is there a video where people can see how you psychologically decompress from reading Ravage 2099?
I did. I no, it wasn't. I read Punisher 2099, and we can link the video of my. It was my first impression as I read it, and I recorded it, and it's one of my particular better works, I believe. So,
going on my resume.
So we'll post a link up into the
We
description.
will. Let me
on the YouTube
and
link
on the Yub
for
Troll
that.
link.
But yeah, I'll stop talking about 2099.
I'm sure we'll talk about it later.
Please make me stop talking about 2099.
Let's just talk all about 2099.
More 2099. Actually, I don't know if this necessarily fits Cyberpunk, but I thought of Mass Effect. Oh no, wait. No, I didn't.
No.
Let me take that away. I did put down Blade Runner. I think of Akira. Akira is my first thought of for Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Nah.
A Sega.
I've never forgotten what you told me all those years ago, Ken. That if you put on a big cape and start blowing up things with your mind, that I should shoot you with a laser.
That's true. If it's a blue
But
cape.
you also qualified that yes, that would be a blue cape, not a red cape. And I said, okay, Ken. I understand.
If it's a red cape, you know it's all good. I got this covered. If it's a blue cape, you gotta take me down, dude.
You gotta take me out. You gotta shoot me with that
No
laser.
one wants a big pumpkin golem cyborg baby just wrecking
Yeah.
stuff.
And then blowing up Neo Tokyo again.
Again.
Every Tuesday like clockwork.
We just keep rebuilding Neo Tokyos. We got a factory that makes Neo Tokyos up in space.
My brother works there. He's a foreman, but he don't speak Japanese so good.
He tried to learn hooked on Japanese sort of phonics sort of thing. I don't know. I didn't understand a word of it.
That's so faintly in the background as the foreman's talking. Oh, there they go again.
It's
We went off on a tangent.
and maybe even a sine wave, like the sine waves I'm going to edit later. That wasn't a good segue. That wasn't even Zach Braff worthy of murdering.
Oh, I'm glad that's Nick Cannon now.
Uh-oh. Braff to the lab again. Oh no. Braff to the lab again. We messed up. Okay. So we've gotten a good gambit for Cyberpunk universes and kind of the feel/flavor for it. So let's go into a certain part of it. I think almost all of these worlds, if not at least most of them, deal with biomechanics. Someone who controls machines with parts of their bodies or that's grafted onto their bodies. Can you guys think of examples that kind of exemplify that sort of mechanic organic sort of fusion and how they relate to each other? Bill, MrYu video.
Oh God, putting me on the
Oh
spot.
god. Oh okay. No. Oh Todd.
I got an
Oh,
idea.
okay. Yes, Nate. Nate Ratjar.
That's that one episode of Batman Beyond where that
Oh, that's
kid,
what I was gonna say.
yeah, he puts on the headset and he gets a robot, but then whoa, Batman defeats that robot, but now the robot is fused to his brain. Whoa,
Oh, that wasn't my example. I have a totally different episode of Batman
I had that
Beyond.
for the remote access and use of controlling machines from other locations section, which was going to be next. But that is my favorite. It's called Golem.
But I know what Todd's was though.
Yep.
April Moon.
April Moon. I had to, like, when I saw that this was going to be one of the topics we were talking about, I specifically sat down and watched April Moon again, if not just so I could see that guy with chainsaws for knees.
Oh my god, that episode! Like, I didn't know what you were talking about, but then as soon as you said it, I was like, oh god!
As soon as I mentioned
Chainsaw knees, of course.
Double chainsaw knee pile drivers. Holy shit.
And he's the best because he gets like stuck in the floor with them, and like everyone else has like these like one guy's got like super armor, and like the leader guy's got like freaking whips that come out of his wrists, and there's like another guy who's like big pile drivers for arms, and there's chainsaw knees, and he talks like the biggest game, like, yeah, we're gonna F you up, man. Goddamn chainsaws.
I can't
in
believe
my
they got away
knees.
with that in a kid's cartoon too. It's messed up.
But yeah, that like I went to that right away when we thought of like the like integrating technology into your body. I with the chainsaw.
Because who
And
wouldn't?
I
Who
do
wouldn't
not
get chainsaw
regret
knees?
that decision at all.
I'm gonna watch that Golem episode later tonight though, because that's a really good example. Batman Beyond is just a good fucking universe
It's
for
a
it.
really good show.
So good.
It's
I
cool
love that show.
because like a lot of like the cyberpunk stuff also ties into like a future setting, like because it's the high technology and stuff like that. So like stuff like 2099 and like Batman Beyond really can express and use it very well because it's goofy high technology stuff.
And what's kind of fun about Batman Beyond is they'll just do like kind of callbacks to Batman animated. So they'll have like, you know, their version of Scarecrow or Joker or whoever, and then they'll like kind of turn it on its head and add in their own canon at the same time. Like that hypnosis dude. Like, who is that guy? Oh, that guy was based off the Scarecrow. Never mind, I figured it out.
Good job.
Good job. Good job.
Well, Ink was sort of new.
She was like
right?
Clayface.
She would be like, yeah, she'd
Well,
be like
kind
Clayface.
of, but
No, she didn't have.
but she was blue and a lady, so she's
They-
totally different.
Also,
Guys.
all Batman Beyond villains suffered horrible
They
ends.
did.
Oh
The
yeah.
worst was the dude who fell through the center of the earth.
Oh, that was pretty
That
bad.
dude.
I would say,
think
it's
the
between
worst
him
was-
and the
was
Fantastic Four
Chainsaw Knee.
parody.
The Fantastic Four parody?
It was like the Terrific Three or something. I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was. But
Terrific Trio.
Because
I think
there
it
was a
Yeah,
terrible
the
trio
woman who-
also.
the woman who could turn into like vapors gets sucked into an air vent
Oh, yeah?
and like dissipated and killed.
Yeah.
Hey, dissipated and killed.
Well, because it's like you don't know what their mental state is when there's something like that, but falling through the center of the earth, like that's
Yeah, it seems pretty bad.
Well, you know, he gets to just chill at the core.
Yeah,
It's fine.
he just goes to Middle Earth and visits the hobbits.
Yeah, he's gonna save us all from Sauron.
He
Exactly.
just falls into the big flaming eye and dissipates as soon as he falls there.
Well, wouldn't he just be surrounded by dinosaurs as he's journeyed to the center of the earth?
Maybe he'll see some sleep
I think.
steps.
Am I correct on that?
You're not incorrect. But
Oh, good.
You are the less correct than you should be.
Small victories.
Small victories, little V's, consummate V's, consummate.
Consummate V's.
Chris Moonjump.
Yes.
Any examples for biomechanics or people who control machines with parts of their bodies, their bow dice?
I mean, one I could definitely go for is with Deus Ex.
Which I've never
when talking
played.
about it, like the newest one, Human Revolution, actually shows it a lot better because he's so cool. He even has, mind-controlled sunglasses.
Man, what?
Yeah,
Man,
he's
what?
got because he doesn't surprisingly have robot eyes, so they
Why?
just gave him robot sunglasses.
He didn't ask for that. Did he ask for that?
No, he did. No, he didn't.
No, I think he has robot eyes
Okay.
also,
Does he?
but I think he also has robot sunglasses, so you
But
can
he
have
also
both
has
things.
robot sensitivity to light.
so, so clearly, robot
As, which all
sunglasses.
robots have, as we all know.
Yeah.
But only if they choose to have it installed.
Yeah.
They
But-
never chose
no.
that.
They never asked for
They
it.
never
No, they never
asked
asked
for
for
it.
that.
But it's actually it's one of the things that's interesting with this is that part there is actually becoming a reality. Like we have people already that have mentally controlled robotic limbs who for like prosthesis and things.
Yes. We're getting there. We're getting there very
It-
it's progressing, but it's progressing very, very well. So, it's cool.
a lot of the recent adult stem cell research and things has actually allowed us to hook nerves to mechanical systems, so it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Bill, MrYu video. Are you ready? Are you ready for a miracle?
I think I'm ready. Well, we've already exhausted all my Batman Beyond ones, so I'm gonna have to go with the one that I didn't want to use because I thought it would steal from somebody, but apparently Batman Beyond would just steal from somebody. So, Ghost in the Shell.
That's almost like my first thought too, because I think it exemplifies it so effing well for like transhumanism or for like just improving yourself via cyber technology. I'm sorry, I could gush about it, but
no, it is really almost perfect for the genre. Like if you were to if somebody had seen it and you were like, okay, this is what cyberpunk is, you show them Ghost in the Shell.
No, I would totally agree. That was actually what I was going to go into deeper for the who does it well.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think we can wait till then to really get into it. But definitely the cyber brains. Any modifications, like they have the Army Rangers have the special eyes that they get installed.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The fact that you can like plug into stuff, that you can like access the internet from your brain, and that you can kind of like access other machinery at the same time, and it's like you can back up your memory, and you can have like my gosh, there's so much cool stuff. I could gush about it, but it's so awesome. We don't really have like a do it well section. Like we just kind of have like a open discussion section. But I mean, I'm all about just gushing about this stuff. But maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll save it for later. We'll stuff to talk about later. Okay. And when I think of machines and people being blended together, I think of Mass Effect. That's where it was supposed to be. Okay, it's here. Because you have like humans that are implanted with like the telekinetic sort of abilities, and you have like biomechanics that sort of happen. The Geth are interesting, but they're not really synthetic organic. That's just a different thing altogether. The Mass Effect universe has a bunch of sort of stuff like the Volus, like are always hooked into their suits and can kind of do cool little things like that. Everyone has like the universal translators. You can have like body modifications to like make yourself go faster. Lots of Mass Effect fields can work on stuff, but it's a very kind of inclusive overall universe, which is really cool. I don't know. Anyone else want to talk about Mass Effect in that regard? Anything else I'm missing?
I think the one character you're missing on that is Jack.
Jack?
Because if you remember, she was like all of the tattoos and things on her were all about the cybernetic implantation and experimentation they did on her.
Yeah. And they were also prison tats too, but I mean, they're rad. They're rad as all hell.
But yeah, it's one of those. Mass Effect is a very interesting universe because the EZO is what I would consider to be kind of a very light cyberpunk. It's basically somewhere like a 1 to 2 on the Moore's science fiction scale, where it's just hey, we made a cool thing. Now we use it for everything.
Well, I mean, I thought they did a pretty good job of tying it in. I mean, just the whole nature of being able to add or subtract mass from something simply by applying a current to it, I thought was a clever way of sidestepping a lot of issues that come up in a lot of sci-fi without having to be like, it's antimatter, we did a converting thing, shut up, Mom!
We used the MacGuffin.
Yeah, it's one of those, it's a softer sci-fi, but I really do like how they applied it in their universe. Because there are some really clever uses for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a very, like, I don't know, it's really diverse, and I think they utilize it in a lot of different ways. Like some of the less advanced species, like kind of hooking themselves into it at the same time. I don't know. Yeah. It's cool. They do a wide spectrum on it. So go and buy Mass Effect for the DS and for the Oculus Rift. Anna, are you awake?
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Utropia Podcast.
Welcome to the Utropia Podcast.
We're gonna play Mass Effect on the Endgame.
Oh, can we side talk on
Yes.
No, we're gonna do it.
That's all you can
We're gonna do a
on the
mini
Endgame.
webisode on that. Boo, 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 boo.
I really don't Don't toy
Okay.
with me, Ken. Can we do a mini
I gotta
Engage
talk about
episode?
the
Look, if you want to talk about the N-Gage, I'm not going to stop you. We can do another podcast.
But I'm gonna stop you right now because we're gonna do it
Because
later.
we're going to ask Anna what she thinks about.
We can edit
Yeah.
this part out, but just want you to know.
No, we can. I'm all
We're
about it.
not.
We're not.
Can we
We're
talk
not.
about the Wonder
No.
Swan?
Anna, what do you think?
Don't you jump on board too.
Biomechanics. What do you think of someone who controls machines with parts of their bodies? Examples? Question marks?
Bodies.
They're bods.
bodies.
They're hot bods.
Robot arms.
Robot Generator Rex? That's what you go for. Fuck that.
Robot arms. The show. When I first saw,
It's
that
just
show
Ben
came
10
out.
Ultimate
Literally-
Alien with robots. Fuck that show.
that's
Yeah,
where.
also
Whatever,
it's
Gene
like-
boy.
Apparently, you know it well enough because you're already explaining.
It's not like you watched it with me or anything.
Basically, how do you even describe it? It's just.
It's X-Men with Plant Magneto.
I'm sorry. I'm choking
He's-
on how true it is.
He's filled with the nanos.
The nanos, hands of fate. Woo!
Yeah, so instead of being mutants, they have nanomachines in them that give them powers, and Rex has the ability to turn off the nanomachines of people that go out of control.
God.
He has robot arms.
He also has
more
giant
Sometimes he
robot
does
arms.
robot legs, but that's bullshit.
I tuned into that
I
show
did not
for
sign up
robot
to the show.
I
arms.
only tune in for
I
robot
came
arms.
here for the
Exclusively,
robot
and maybe
arms.
when he becomes a motorcycle.
That was
Maybe.
bullshit.
Robot legs can go
He turns
fuck
his legs into
themselves.
fucking wheels and his arms into fucking wheels, and he makes himself a motorcycle. That's bullshit. Robot arms only.
I can't do that with my robot
Yeah.
arms. I
It's
call
canon.
bullshit.
Nate's a robot.
Oh, welcome to the
No
club.
wonder you wanted to do
Just a
Cyberpunk.
rat jar with wheels.
You know what? That's the title of this episode now.
That wheel.
Rat jar.
Rat jar
on
with
Rat
wheels.
jar on wheels.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, I'm glad I was able to contribute something.
That's more than we
My
usually
favorite
do.
musical.
Hey, all right.
The rat jar on wheels.
Ratjar on wheels.
It's much better
Rat
than
jar.
rat jar on ice. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, let's be fair.
He's just one of those biker rats from Mars.
Oh, maybe just for the
I get
just
it.
for the reference.
get
I
it.
think just for the reference.
Yeah, thank
Okay, well, Generator Rex. Didn't think you'd go there, but we went there.
I had to.
More like biker rats from jars.
Biker rats from jars. Woo! Okay, so the next section was going to be about like remote access use of controlling machines from other locations. So like through a mental reading device, it's like if a dude puts on a helmet and can like kind of like control something from another case. It's not like hooked directly into your body, but I'm kind of willing to go lenient on this. I'm going to go with you, Todd Ogredose.
I think generally just a lot of like
Yes.
technopaths. I can't really think of like a really
There's, like,
solid
the one
example
from,
except maybe Gigantor with the boy who talks.
I was
going to
go with the one from what was it, Sky High? And there was like a technopath girl. Yeah,
Royal Pain.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
It's kind of a spoiler, but I mean that movie's been out for more than 2 years, so it's fine.
It's fine. Everything's
but
fine.
everything. Is fine. But I just kind of think of that general power set. I don't really think of a lot of like really solid examples of like just kind of like controlling like a big computer or whatever just with
Yeah.
your brain and like the floating technology and stuff like that. Actually, Sky High is a pretty decent example.
Because she
of
just
that.
like builds a ray gun with like her mind.
Yeah, with like her brain and like he turns evil because no one appreciates technopaths like in the 60s.
We should all appreciate technopaths a lot more. You know what?
Yeah, so hug your local
But don't hug them too
technopath.
much.
Or they'll kill you.
Yeah,
Do
but
it for everyone.
I don't have like a really solid, but just just that kind of power in general, which maybe we'll get into in a future episode. That's a superpower,
no,
right?
I look, spoilers, I really want to get into technopaths later on, but we can't because we're doing this. But
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
no, it's a really underused superpower, I think, but it's super rad, and I'm really into it. Ratjar! Ratjar!
Yes, hello.
Remote access, use of controlling machines, something kind of away from, like, being hooked directly into the machine. Do you have, like, anything specific?
Well, obviously the golem
Yeah.
would be one. Also, if you want to, I don't know if it follows the format we were looking for, but
Yeah.
Terminator 3, the Terminator robot could just walk around and be like, I'm poking that machine, and now it is slave to my robot brain
Yes.
or whatever. That's kind of cool. That you can just walk around and be like, this car is now mine, and so is this one, and this one, and this one.
Hack everything.
Now we're gonna run over Arnold Schwarzenegger with a fire truck.
That's what you have to do.
Yeah, man. You gotta run
But
over.
he'll be back.
Caught me.
Yeah, but or alternatively, in the Shadowrun
Yeah.
universe, there is an actual specific player class or subset called the Riggers, which are people who have little combat drones that fly around, and they can have several of them running at a time. And the idea is that they're having those robots fly around and doing stuff while they're also running around and doing stuff, in theory. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
That's cool. I haven't really explored it too deeply, but I mean, you got robots, you got a guy controlling them robots,
It's true.
doing
Well,
stuff.
have you
That's
ever
cool.
played any of the have you played any of the Shadowrun games or done the tabletop?
I did the recent PC RPGs, and then I picked up the latest edition of the book, and I've started reading through it a little bit. But I haven't gotten to Riggers in specific, just because I'm a street samurai man. What can I say?
Aren't we all?
I would rather be robot arm man with a machine gun and a katana doing triple backflips and shoot hand and chop in, rather than being like, all right, I'm gonna pilot this robot, I guess.
See, I was all about the magic and punching people.
Yeah, no, I don't need that shit in my Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk is all about robot legs and arms and robot guns and shooting dudes in the mouth and being an asshole.
But yeah, actually, their depiction of the techno realm is pretty accurate to what a lot of the old Shadowrun games used to be for some portions of kind of being able to travel into the cyberspace area. It was interesting.
Yeah. No, I've always, I mean, that's one of the things that I prefer when we get into subsets of Cyberpunk. I prefer wired to wireless, because even though wireless is a thing and it's easy and it makes sense, it's just not as cool to be like, well, I'll just remote hack into everything from my fucking mom's house, as opposed to no, you have to go to the secret base and then go to the terminal and then you can hack. Dude, because wireless never happened. Shut up, you don't know. You have to use a 56K modem. Because this is
We're in
80s.
Neo China. We didn't perfect wireless yet.
Yeah. Wireless is bullshit. Wireless gives you cancer.
You know,
Yeah, dude.
it's all good. Build MrYu video. Remote access machines?
Alright, well, I got one that is kind of cyberpunkish.
Yeah,
and one that
I did
isn't.
Mass Effect already, so you're in the clear pretty much.
So the one that isn't would be funnels from the Gundam
I
series.
knew we'd talk about Gundams.
Yeah, well, that's actually what both of these are. But yeah, the for those that don't know, the new types were psychics in space.
That's the new
Yeah.
But
Gundam.
the
It's just Jean Grey and Jean Grey fighting Jean Grey in space.
but
Bullshit.
the ones that were powerful enough, they figured out how to tap into their brain waves to let them control parts of the mobile suit with their mind. And that's what funnels were. They would control the main Gundam, or in the Xeon's case, the Zazabi. They'd control that with their hands, but they could shoot out essentially just guns that would float around. They were just full of fuel and
Just like the Rose Gundam from Gundam G, which is probably my favorite.
And that is my second example. G Gundam, the mobile trace system.
Yes. That system was so great because they gave it to a goddamn horse at some point.
They
Yep.
did.
Food Psyche.
They wrapped a
in a
horse
super hot, super
psychic
disgusting.
It's go at it, horse. Go, you're a Gundam pilot now.
Horse, go fuck those guys up. Use your horse rage, your horse fury.
My horse, my hoof.
And all your horse sorrow.
Shining hoof.
Just go in there and do a bunch of crazy horse shit. Biting people and kicking
That's
people
really
with the ball.
racist. Dude. That's hateful.
G Gundam's
It
really
really
racist.
is. Tequila Gundam, just a big sombrero Gundam that rises out of the Gulf of Mexico and has a cactus as part of its armor.
Oh, by the way, I recently rewatched that episode, and do you know what the big thing about Mexico
was the big-
was?
Yeah.
Polluted water.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's not like we have any of that here. Oh well.
Our water's great.
Our water's interesting. Anna has passed out. It's like a traditional episode of Utropeia.
Hey, all right.
But the example that I had thought of was the episode of Dexter's Lab where Dexter's dad gets into an arm wrestling competition at a truck stop. And Dexter has like a little remote control, and he's totally winning.
I forgot about that.
He's got a really
episode.
fancy
That's
watch.
such a cool episode.
Doesn't he build it out of like truck parts, so it's like really big?
Yeah. Because it has the
It
mud
has,
flap on it.
Yeah, it has like the sexy lady mud flap on it.
It's pretty rad, actually. That Dexter's dad, which is like this stereotypical like dad kind of archetype, where it's like, hey,
Like, oh, you can do it, sport.
where did you?
Where's the coffee?
Look at this amazing lab. Oh my god. This Labrador Retriever. Feed me.
I'll just quote Dexter's dad in the next 20 minutes.
That's probably how they go. The other example I had was I already did the Cowboy Bebop Outlaw Star joke, but it's Melina who pilots the ship, like she kind of has to.
Oh, she's the
She's the navigation system. But the ship is sentient on its own. She just helps.
Ship doesn't need her help, but the ship puts up with it.
It's like
you know.
the ship is the car, but she's the GPS. And no one else. Yeah, she's Garmin. Melina
Shut up,
Garmin.
Garmin! You don't know.
Turn left on the Grand Ley Line. It's canon. Why not? Melina Garmin. She pilots my car too. Yeah. Okay. So I didn't leave anyone out, did I?
I didn't give you an
Besides Chris
example.
Moonjump. Boo, boo,
And-
boo, boo, boo.
And I was actually going to use one for that Anna brought up earlier because it kind of rests on that line. But Pacific Rim actually
Yes.
being able to pilot the Jaegers.
Yes. By syncing up.
You have to have two people to do it.
Yeah, I have to say, I felt like that was a little. I don't know about that whole. I need 2 brains, and it's like, dude, come on. Who would design that shit? It's like, oh no, there's 2 brains.
Why don't they
It's
just have
fucked up.
Siamese
You need
twins?
2 brains to lift. Yeah.
What if I just made a smaller robot? Then 1 brain could have done it.
My
or
question
whatever.
is,
But then you wouldn't be able to punch Kaiju
Yeah.
in the face.
You
Well,
wouldn't be
it's
able to
just- it
lift
seemed
oil
very-
tankers.
It's very MacGuffin-y, where it's just like, yeah, you need 2 pots. Well, why is it, Mr. Engineer?
my question
I don't
is how dumb is that third Chinese guy? Because he can only take an arm. Like he doesn't get legs or anything
Wait.
else. He gets an arm.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Hey, that arm is.
Oh
super
yeah,
Hey,
it
hey,
worked
all
out
hey,
real well.
Hey,
It's a
for
real
him.
hey,
good
he
arm.
makes the sandwiches.
We're all very
He
proud.
makes the sandwiches, okay?
It's true. Okay, yeah.
He thinks happy thoughts to the rest of his brothers. He's like, hey guys, we're
They're
doing
like,
a really good job. Yeah.
Project Voltron, surprisingly enough, did not do as well in that universe. So 2 pilots it was.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna cram other pilots in here and like a talking animal or something, but fuck it.
But yeah, 2 people, 1 robot. It's an internet video that you can't watch because it's illegal. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so we've covered all of the sort of biomechanic stuff and a couple examples of remote access for things. I'm gonna kind of leave this up to just open discussion. If there are other interesting machines or kind of different takes on like how you can pilot or sort of utilize technology, go for it. But this is sort of like an open forum. I'm gonna take it back to Bill and Chris because I know you guys both wanted to talk about Ghost in the Shell, and I could just gush about it, but I'm gonna let you guys have first grabs, first dibs, first. Okay.
All right,
Okay.
Bill, I'll let you go first.
Yes.
Oh, well, I've kind of said most of what I was going to say about it, just like...
I mean, Ghost in the Shell in many ways is the quintessential, like, intro to Cyberpunk for people, especially for a lot of people of our generation.
So good.
Because in many ways, Cyberpunk and what distinguishes it from a lot of other sci-fi genres
Mhm.
is it is almost exclusively about the question of how do people, interact with their technology.
Yes.
Like what happens when those lines begin to blur. And yeah, it's just one of those. It is a phenomenal example because you have people who have lived, they don't necessarily give a full age, but from what we can tell, the Major's been around for maybe a century.
Jeez.
And yeah, it winds up being a very interesting thing where people have basically replaced everything in their body except for the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And the question winds up being is how, I think it's locks, socks is the philosophical question, is basically after you begin to replace enough of a person, at what point do they stop being themselves?
Directly.
Yeah. And it's very interesting. And yeah, it is, from the art direction, from the voice acting, from just everything about that show is a phenomenal intro to sci-fi and especially the cyberpunk genre in general.
Yes, it is. God damn it. I could gush about this show so much, and I will. Okay, so Ghost in the Shell is, first of all, a really effing smart anime. It's so effing smart. It's so good. It just deals with, like, if you're connected to the internet, can other people hack into you? Can other people use your body as remote access? Can they go into your, like, memory and, like, download videos? Can they put, like, a virus in you and just shut you down completely? You can back up your body. If you've got, like, cybernetic eyes, can you track people? You pretty much have like a moving foursquare where you can tell where everyone is at any given time. You can mess with stuff with EMP fields. You can back up your memory infinitely. You don't even have to use your body. You can just store yourself onto a computer, and the Major is completely made out of cybernetics. Isn't she the first completely cybernetic being, like, in that show?
Yeah, because she's actually her actual consciousness, from what they talk about, is stored offsite in a satellite.
Effing nuts. Really cool.
Yeah. But yeah, she is complete. Yeah, she was the first person to actually undergo the brain casing and the full cybernetic enhancement.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, people gradually wind up doing, because that winds up being one of the big things in the series is when you get the disease of cyberbrain sclerosis. Is that basically what's happening is people's brains are finally getting to the point where they just can't work anymore, and how terrifying that is for everyone.
Yes.
That we've made all of these advances, but we're still gonna die.
Yeah.
That's actually one of the really interesting things, I think. One of many, like, that I'm gonna go into. That it kind of gives an interesting take on life and death, because people like who was it? Wasn't Bato? Who was the one that had the least amount on the team? Had the least
Wasn't
amount
it
of
the youngest guy?
modifications?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Neither did
I don't know
just
his
the
name,
young guy.
but yeah, that dude. Yeah, young guy with the revolver. You know, got like a robot arm or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, but anyway, because he doesn't have any modifications, and he's married and he gets a kid, and they talk about it a little bit, and they kind of present, like, this idea that people are kind of at a point where they will either choose to just live out a normal human life or go full prosthetic and live a lot longer and then deal with what a lot of the people that have the full prosthetics, they do show that they have a fear of death, and they fight tooth and nail to live as long as they possibly can. It's a very interesting take on that, because I believe that was the story behind the tank. The episode, I think that might be the first episode of Stand Alone.
Yeah. Oh,
Complex,
by the way, Togasa.
is that guy was so upset. Togasa, yes. Yeah, he's kind of chose to just live a human life, have kids, and die, and then let his kids grow up. It's just kind of one of those things. But there's a lot of really small, interesting things that they do to kind of make the world very believable and kind of give you an interesting take on philosophies. One of the really cool little touches that I thought of that I want to bring up is when the Major has to get her new prosthetic body, is that you have to have a witness with you to verify that nothing had happened, that you're still the same person. A very interesting kind of thing. That's when the Laughing Man story kind of really starts coming to an end. That's one of those scenes.
He's laughing.
And also, one of the things I want to talk about, and I know a lot of people hate this episode, but the Tachikoma episode.
I love the Tomodachi.
Yeah.
The Tomodachi episodes.
The thing.
Yeah, I might be one of those guys. It's just like, I can't.
You don't
I know a lot
little
of people
kid
dislike it
voices?
mostly just because their voices.
It gets
It's a little cheese.
a little
A
grating.
little great.
But the actual conversation they're having, if you can get past their high pitched, annoying voices, is really interesting. The discussion of when AI stops being kind of a program and starts becoming a person.
Yeah.
And this is something which I think the Tachikoma are really there just for that aspect of Cyberpunk, to kind of, when does an AI start, like, on the thing is, when do they acquire a ghost?
Yeah.
When can you say that a robot
In the
has a
show.
soul?
Yeah, and that one's really interesting, because part of the reason why the Tachikoma always have children's voices is because, remember, their brains are wiped daily, I think.
Yeah, well, they're not wiped. They merge essentially their data, so they all have the same shared experience.
So basically, in many ways, like, each one of them is effectively just a young child.
Well, and I think that kind of like, and this is obviously totally like me just stating my opinion, but it's the Rusty the Boy Robot kind of idea. If you have an AI that is a child, it can grow like a person would. It learns from his experiences and matures. I think that's kind of the idea they might have been trying to go with a little bit.
Yeah, well, and that's like an Astro Boy or Mega Man. Listen to that too.
Is that what you think of, Todd?
I don't know. It's a good thing to think about, because just a few kind of other things I think about when I think of like the merging of like technology and humans is kind of like the Mega Man X world and the Mega Man Zero world, where you have Reploids and humans living side by side. Reploids are now machines that have become so advanced in their AI that they've developed free will. So you have the ones that kind of still help out, and you have the ones that are kind of like, leave me alone, I don't like you. And then you have like the ones that go berserk and have to be put down. So it's a little Ghost in the Shell, kind of like with that. There's an interesting example with the Reploids in Mega Man Zero. I'm gonna say the character named Andrew. I think it is. And
jokes aside, from picking up Buffalo Wild Wings and having them not get your name right, go on.
But it's a Reploid who falls in love with a human woman. Ooh. And he goes through a lot of, like, he can't age, he's a robot. But she's getting older and dying, so he eventually gets himself altered into, like, an old man, so he can, like, age with her. So it's kind of interesting that way, I think. And like Ghost in the Shell, I think Mega Man Zero specifically runs a very similar parallel with that.
Yeah, because a lot of the Cyberpunk sort of deals with, like, when is an AI a human also. Like, they deal with that in, like, the Animatrix for, like, Second Renaissance. Actually, that's like the whole point of like how the Matrix got to where it is. And they also kind of hook up to machines, don't they? But they don't really control much. It's like they're batteries. They're just, you know, if you haven't seen the Matrix by now, you're probably not going to. That's why we have the 2-year rule.
You're an old fogey. I'm not gonna see that Matrix movie.
Back in my day,
exciting.
a Matrix was probably like 2 grids or something. That was about it.
Isn't that a printer?
We had Scantron back in my day. We used a number 3 pretzel.
Yeah. Pretzel. A number 3 pretzel.
Delicious number 3
Fun fact,
pretzels.
that's how we take tests here on Utropeia Podcast. It's canon now. Pull out your number 3 pretzels.
Little pretzel sticks. Eat 3 pretzel sticks and then go away.
I was just saying they'd be like in knots, and they just had like graphite on like the little nubs, and you had to like click the other nub to get like the graphite out.
It's like, damn it.
Have you ever tried writing with a pretzel? Try it out and send us some sweet pics.
My pencil is too salty.
Try it out. Like, favorite, subscribe.
Give us a frowny face. Smiling frowny face. Which is really just a neutral face.
So, colon, capital I.
Colon, vertical bar.
Or a circle with 2 dots in it.
Circle dash circle. Or an O. I don't know. Whatever. You know what? Everyone does emoticons differently. Big O was kind of interesting, actually. That was a fun one.
Big O was always a very interesting kind of experience, because you could never tell who was actually human and who wasn't. because like, only a couple of characters are ever truly confirmed, but it winds up being one of those, they've blurred the lines so much and so often it's impossible to tell.
And it's a really interesting universe just in general. It's like noir, steampunk, cyberpunk.
Batman, the animated
Batman
series.
and a Gundam. That's what it is. It's Batman and a fucking Steam Gundam, and it's awesome as all shit. And they don't remember anything.
It's showtime.
Big O, big O, big O. There's the episode where it's just his head, and that's all he says.
You want to hear my favorite part about Big O?
Yeah, I do.
I do.
If listen to the theme song at some point, and when they're singing, they actually say the phrase, "In the name of God, ye not guilty. We have came to team Big O." And it's my favorite
We have
part
came
of
to
Big O.
Well, of course, no, it makes total sense.
Ooh, Nate, any other like interesting sort of like takes on interacting with machinery that you'd like to go into, or any other sort of parts on Cyberpunk that you want to kind of discuss?
I guess what interests me most is that initial transitional period that was sort of covered in the recent Deus Ex game, Human Revolution, and that whole initial translation of, okay, we finally have reached a technological base to actually improve upon humans, as opposed to just like, using our technology to try to like cope or, make things easier. Like, it's actual, this is literally better than your arm, so we can now give you an arm that is better than your arm, sort of a thing. And the issues of who gets to have those, and what are they doing with them, and what does that mean about us as people now? That aspect of transhumanism, I think, is really interesting. It was something that I sort of wish had been touched on a little bit differently in Human Revolution, because they focused a little bit more on what other people were doing and less on what the player was doing, because the player has been magically exempted from the major drawback of human augmentation, which is you need to take drugs because your body is like, hey, I have a robot arm attached to me. That's not part of me. I'd better attack it with my immune system because it's a foreign body. And you have to like take drugs to make that not happen. But for whatever reason, your character doesn't have that problem. Wave that magic wand. And then also you gain experience points by doing shit, and then you can upgrade your skills. But those skills are all related to mods. And I was talking with our mutual friend Pete about this, and
P2,
we were thinking,
yes.
we were thinking it'd be actually cooler if, rather than having it just be raw XP, it was all tied into just like money, and if you could afford it, you could just buy the upgrade. Just do it that way.
Just download it from the Apple Store.
Well, yeah, like, because there's literally a store you go to buy, parts and services to like just do this. But like the game world is full of all these people in like crippling poverty, and in classic RPG fashion, you're wandering around into people's homes, stealing their shit, being an asshole, and
press the start button to look at your options menu.
Yeah, and it's like the idea of just like, how far are you willing to go down that rabbit hole of just like taking everyone for all their worth so you can have money to upgrade yourself, and like, what does that say about you and your like that whole like line of reasoning, I think, is potentially interesting, because to me that's where that whole syndicate style corporate shithead, guys with lots of money who can afford all these crazy biomods now suddenly are essentially demigods, and they have more strength and ability than most normal people, and like what sort of weird class structure does that set up, and yada yada yada. So yeah, that's stuff I find interesting. So that would be a cool thing to make a game or a book or a movie or whatever about.
Comic, something that you can kind of think about, just to like think about what it means to improve yourself, and what would sort of like come from that with the biomechanics and how it sort of goes into it.
Yeah, and what does it mean to choose to do that and to choose not to do that, sort of a thing. Like, it might not be as relatively simple as it goes to the show, where it's just, hey, some people do it and some people don't. It's more of a, hey, some people literally can't, and they would do anything to do it, and some people may choose not to for whatever reason, and maybe they're militantly opposed to people who do,
Yeah, you'd probably have a lot of like religious groups and stuff like that violently opposed
the whole
to it.
ideological split. Well, obviously one of the groups in the Deus Ex's Purity First, which is a group of people who are like violently anti-augmentation to the point where they actually have people in their group who had Augs at one point but got them removed.
Jeez.
Sometimes not super healthily, but like they got rid of them. And,
Got to get rid of that robot heart for that healthy baboon heart, I guess.
Yeah, dude. And, obviously they super hate Augs. So
yes.
What is that? And then so that it's really all about setting up people's philosophies on those sorts of things, and that's essentially what all good stories are about. Is just people with different ideas and how they interact, and everything else is just like whatever.
Yeah.
Everything else is robot arms and miniguns, and it's awesome.
Robot arms and never robot legs, because you got to put that shit on Front Street.
Do not. No robot
like,
legs, sir.
If it was just nothing but robot legs and it was just capoeira constantly and like kick fighting with just like a guy, I don't know. Maybe. If they put it on Front Street, but they didn't. They just robot armed right out of fucking left field and no one saw it coming. It was ridiculous. Yeah, okay. So we've covered a lot of really cool subjects, a lot of like interesting sort of tangents. I guess in the end, I want to ask any final thoughts about Cyberpunk or just like interacting with machines in general and transhumanism.
I want to bring up one last example.
Okay.
And I never got the chance to bring it up, but anyone who's played City of Heroes,
Oh, miss it.
the freak shows,
Oh yeah,
were literal cyberpunks. They were punks with like mohawks and all that good stuff.
And then body augmentation.
Yeah, and then made themselves robot men. And there was never a good chance at all during this podcast for me to bring it up.
Sorry.
But no, it's not anyone's fault except my own. But I really wish City Heroes was still around. So people could experience them, but it was one of the things I thought of when I heard Cyberpunk, and I went, man, like the freak show.
And not just a radio station that maybe plays in Toledo on late nights.
Sure.
Yeah, no.
Hey, why not both?
Why not both? Maybe someone delivered pizza and had to listen to it, or nothing. I don't know who that guy was. Nate and then Chris, any final thoughts?
Not really. Cyberpunk is super cool. It runs the gamut from actual Cyberpunk, if you need to go onto Wikipedia and read about its origins and all that sort of backlash against the traditional Paragon visions of the future, and getting something more gritty and grounded, and then post Cyberpunk where people grew up and it was just like another kind of sci-fi, so it all kind of get mushed together. So, and admittedly, I think everyone then now sort of has a different impression of what it really is, because I know my impression is very, very Blade Runner sort of Syndicate centric, where I think in a very like Western term, and even though obviously Ghost in the Shell is Cyberpunk and fits so many of the themes very well, to me it feels like different enough that I feel like that needs to be in its own subcategory for me. And again, that's just me and not anyone else. So there's a lot of space to explore in that, and if it's something that interests you, go crazy.
Yeah, well, and the one thing I was going to add is, Cyberpunk is, like we've talked about here, is a lot of it is about the interface of human and machine. And the one thing that's actually really interesting, I was actually talking about this with one of my coworkers who's a 70-year-old British guy, and he was talking to me about a lot of the young, like along with the young adventure comics and things he used to read as a kid in Britain, and he's like, but I'd have never imagined all of the things that are out now. And that winds up being something that's really interesting, is a lot of Cyberpunk, even currently, is still very much the Cyberpunk of the 80s. But the way we interface with technology is not really something I've ever read about in books.
No one predicted the internet. No one really thought about that.
Yeah, between that and a lot of other things, that basically the way we use technology is very differently. So, I mean, thinking about how these technologies that we have now would grow would actually wind up being very interesting. Having a cyberpunk of the new millennium rather than of the previous.
And we kind of get that with like there's a lot of these like remakes and kind of almost reimaginings of newer stuff. Movies like the Total Recall remake, Oblivion, and Elysium, they all have like these kind of utopian mixed with dystopian, not dystopian, like I usually say, because I can't separate it.
It's all the same.
Yeah, it's kind of all the small things. Truth be. But with these like kind of versions, everything is touchscreen, everything is interconnectable, everything is like kind of clean, and then they play with it. They contrast it with like these poverty places. So in Elysium, they have like all healthcare is free. You get in the body scanning like pod, and suddenly your arm's not as broken and jacked up as it used to be. Maybe you shouldn't have run out in front of that hover car. And then you can get like an exosuit from like the effing cyberpunk cartels. And have like your body jacked up, and then you can just Moonjump into space, Moonjump, and then go on to Elysium and just jack up dudes. In the Total Recall remake, you can have a phone inside of your hand, and we're fucking chipping our kids now so that we can keep tracks of them. So that we can keep, well...
Thanks, Toki.
You
keep tracks of your kids with your phones and the chips in your hand.
I was going to segue into a like Moose Tracks joke, but you know what? I like that better.
You're welcome.
We can keep special Ben & Jerry ice cream for all of our kids. Only Moose Tracks, though. But we're kind of doing like an almost reimagining. It's just we're kind of mixing it all together and keeping it separate, like Neapolitan ice cream. I'm really into ice cream night right now. I'll probably get some after the show. But
hey, you think in Maze Runner the end game is gonna be astronaut ice cream? By the way,
I hope so. I hope there's a Minotaur selling it. It's just at the gift shop all the way at the end. I keep forgetting about him. He's sort of like the dude who runs the base in the Utropean Justice League. He's like the John Jones of the sort of Justice League. He just sells astronaut ice cream to everyone at the end. But we're kind of getting there. It's okay. It's delicious.
Off Moose Tracks.
Off the Moose Track of where we were going. But we're kind of getting there with like redefining it, like in Oblivion, and like saying, artificial intelligence is sort of coming for us. And look, the Total Call remake is not a perfect movie by any means, but it's kind of pretty. Like there's stuff that, look, having an elevator running through the center of the... Wait, has it been 2 years? I think it's been 2 years.
I don't know if it's been 2 years.
It's been a little while. And I don't think it was well received, so it's probably
no
safe.
one else has seen it except for me. Okay, yeah. Look,
I was gonna see it, and I heard it was bad, so go ahead.
It's kind of...
Ruin me, Ken.
Ruin my body.
It has 2012 it came out.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, so we're good.
It
has, excuse me, an elevator that runs right through the center of the Earth, which is, come on, that's ridiculous.
You're gonna run into dinosaurs with that. And
that guy who's still falling. But like when it goes through the center of the core, it's like gravity reverses on itself. There's no possible way you can have any material that... Never mind. Okay. But so you have to be strapped into this thing like an effing ride at like Six Flags or something like that. It's like the power tower.
It is a ride at Six Flags. They were like, how do we top ourselves? Hey, yo, what if we do like a drop tower, but it goes into the ground through the center of the earth?
We'll call it the Total Recall.
Fun.
Utropeia seal of approval. Seal of approval. That's a
Steel.
That's a different badge that I'll have to make up
later.
later.
They made it out of. They made it out of Utropia steel. That's how it survived.
You're right. It's like unobtainium, but not with the stupid namium.
It's made out of chocolate milk and
and Zach Braff with a baseball bat.
It's made out of earth holes also.
So it could go down into an earth hole.
Yeah, and then it emerges in an earth hole as well.
Woo!
So.
Tangents aside and tangerines on the table, what do you citrus and think, Bill, Mr. U Video?
What?
Any final thoughts in general?
One thing I kind of wanted...
Swept, confused all of us simultaneously. What are you talking about?
I just love tangerines.
Like you said, Ken, a lot of the basis of Cyberpunk is kind of the high technology but low living.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the series I kind of wanted to bring up that I didn't really think about, and I've been thinking over it while we've been talking, but pretty much the whole series, but definitely more in 2 and 4 would be Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, Metal
Yeah.
Gear is
where
very good.
essentially everything's nanomachines. Everything.
Everything.
Which it's been more than 2 years for Metal Gear Solid 4, right?
I think so. Yeah. No, it's definitely.
And
been more
does
than 2
anybody
years.
care if I kind of spoil something big?
Yeah, microwave it up.
So the big thing
I
is
get it.
with Vamp's character, they essentially kind of answered for most everybody. This is why they have the powers they have. It was all technology, but Vamp was still portrayed as being immortal, and you found out just because he has nanomachines inside him that don't let his body die.
Huh.
And it just like especially in 4, like you really get to see, because it's like these crazy military organizations with crazy high technology going into the Middle East and fighting people who still have AK-47s essentially.
Yeah.
So that's when you get the beasts within or the beauties within the beasts, or whatever they're called. They like these high-tech armors that are just insane. Like it is just, the series really went full cyberpunk, I think, by 4, but they really hinted at it in 2.
Yes. Alrighty. Nah, that and Metal Gear Solid is a really cool series because they've got the Metal Gears are kind of like their own.
It's kind of like almost it's like, because another thing that usually with cyberpunk is just that it's the near future. And
Yeah.
like that is like, of most cyberpunk things, like that is as near future as you can get. Like it is like that. Most of the technology is very plausible. Even nanotechnology is getting really, like, we can make complex proteins to go into people's bodies and do things. So,
but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The current state of the field is actually really interesting. There was a guy who actually implanted a microchip that ran off of energy from sugars in his arm, and he could control a remote-controlled plane with it.
With all the sugar.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Did he have to like extend his hand and like make a claspy motion with it, like hella anime style?
No,
Just like,
no, he actually apparently like programmed it by flex. So
so he's just sitting there flexing, and some guy's like, "Stop showing off!
Dude,
Like, I'm flying my
it's
plane,
like
idiot."
it's like you're playing a flight simulator with the fucking Guitar Hero controller. So you're just flexing and like shredding, like super awesome.
those air guitaring.
Yeah, dude, that's all he's doing. You can.
So am I wrong? If he would want to improve his flying skills, he would have to airplane lift?
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just like you're welcome to end this episode with me. No, this has been cool talking about Cyberpunk with my dear friend Nate, aka Ratjar. Next week is the beginning of our October lineup, which is when things start to get a little spooky.
Why are we doing October lineup in September?
Redacted.
Because this episode
I know.
won't take place
I'm
until.
sorry.
Okay,
I'm
no,
sorry,
never
Ken.
mind.
I'm sorry.
All right,
Edit it out.
I won't.
You're gonna be
I won't
sorry.
take it out.
It's gonna redacted
I'm gonna
you.
keep it in. Now I'm gonna put a bunch of beeps in there, so it sounds like I'm really cursing. But I'm not. So next week is going to be the beginning of the Utropeia podcast skit, where we talk about all of the scary tropes and things that we do, and maybe we'll do some side stuff, which will be very fun. But we're on superpowers up next, and the superpower for our October lineup is possession. Possessing another body.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know, dude. I know. I'm so into it.
Hey guys, do you think Ken might mention demons in the next
What?
episode?
The devil? Demons, the devil, demons, Satan, hell, Beelzebub.
Possession, hell,
the demons.
demons.
No, he'd never do that.
Oh, okay, that's
Ken
good.
doesn't even like that
Because
stuff.
that would be pretty.
That would be
scary.
frightening. I'd be really scared if someone was really into the devil, demons, the devil, devil's the demon.
I'm scared right now.
I'm scared just thinking about it. But no, this has been the Utropeia podcast. I want to give a big thank you to Nate, aka Ratjar, for not only listening to us, but wanting to be on the show and being on the show and talking with us about
Hooray!
subjects.
I'm a big dumb fan. I want to be on your show. Oh God, fine.
Nah, it was cool. It was really cool talking about it with you, man. So, thanks. No
thank
problem.
No, thank you.
And
No.
and thanks you all from her Cranberry slumberland. Aww. It's adorable. But with that, we're all going to sign off. So this has been myself, Pumpken, and Nate, aka Ratjar.
Ratjar!
Bill, MrYu video.
MrYu video.
Chris Moonjump.
Moonjump.
And Todd Ogredose.
Ogredose.
I'm surprised you played it straight.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're all Pokemon.
I've been a little loopy this episode, so I figure I'll go one straight joke.
And I might have been choking on spit and maybe water when I was talking, so that got interesting. But yeah.
Cool, gross.
Cool and gross. How does pumpkins even work? Okay. But yeah, thank you all for listening. Trope, you found what you're looking for. Until we talk geek next week. Bye-bye.
There.
Bye.
Bye-bye!